Okay, folks, so I got a great question that I want to film an answer to. And it basically asked if if a horse is so in tune with your own heart rate, if they sense that your heart rate has elevated, will they run away from you or will they come toward you to calm down, or maybe even to help you calm down? And that's a fantastic question. So unfortunately, the answer is not one-fold. The truest answer to this question is it really depends on several factors. It depends on your relationship with your horses. It depends on how much your horses trust you and how confident your horses are. And it depends on the overall mentality of your horses as well. There are some horses that are just completely high-strung, and they may, if they sense that your heart rate is increased and you're all excited, they may run the opposite direction because they will feel like there is imminent danger approaching, or surrounding them. So therefore they will try to exit as quickly as possible. Now, that's not always a guarantee. Again, it really comes down to your horses. I can tell you that I recorded another video where my two horses, True and Shakespeare, were in a predicament where Shakespeare was inside of a round pen, kind of like a 60 by 60 round pen, and True was very young. She had only had a saddle on like one time, and we were walking her through the gate. Well, she got hung up in the gate, and the saddle hooked onto the round pen and started dragging the round pen and making all kinds of noise. And my trainer was leading her by hand, and she got excited. I of course got excited. My heart rate started to increase, and the trainer who was leading her, his heart rate, I'm sure, increased because he was the one holding her. And it just sounded like a building was falling down, and she was dragging the entire fence line along with her because the stirrup was hooked in it. So Shakespeare, he was inside the round pen, and instead of running from the round pen that he was effectively trapped in, he turned around and he ran toward me. So he felt in danger, and he turned around and, well, I mean, maybe he didn't feel in danger. Maybe he felt like I was in danger. I'm not really sure. I mean, I can't tell you because it all happened so fast. But I do know that he ran toward me and not away from me. So that's one instance. Another instance I can tell you about is I was out in a field, a very big field, kind of like this, except I had walked all the way out to the middle of the field, and we had a herd of, about 27 horses at that point in time, and I didn't know that a new horse had entered the herd. The barn owner was not there, and he didn't tell me that there was a new horse. So I walked out, way out into the pastures. I mean, much bigger than this. This was on 15 acres. This is only, 2 acres sitting here. So you can imagine, you're way out 15 acres, and I'm in the middle of this pasture with nowhere to go, I didn't even have a halter in my hand. And I was just going out there to get Shakespeare. Well, it was, as a matter of fact, it was True's mother before True was even born. And she was loose in the field. She was a brand new horse, and she was a tank of a mare. Okay, she was huge, huge, huge mare. Well, she saw me coming in the middle of the field, and she didn't know me, of course. She'd never met me. So she must have thought that I was dangerous or something. So she comes tearing at me from across the field with her ears pinned. I mean, this massive horse flying at me with her ears flat against the back of her head. And she was definitely, extremely intimidating. So I saw her coming at me, and I have to admit, my heart rate, I'm sure, elevated, because I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, this horse is looking very, very aggressive. She looks like she wants to kill me. And I'm standing here. I don't even so much as have a halter. I don't have anything. So my heart rate went up. Next thing I know, I hear these thundering hooves come across the pasture, and Shakespeare dove in front of me and dove at that mare and charged her. And the herd boss at that point in time, Baron, he came running in too, and then they switched places. So Shakespeare stood in front of me, blocking me, and then Baron chased that mare all the way across the field, getting her away from me. But that was because Baron knew me, Baron loved me, Baron and I had a great relationship, and he was the herd boss, and he didn't tolerate that kind of behavior in his herd. So when that mare came charging at me, Shakespeare was the first on scene. He jumped in between us and blocked us, and then Baron, you know, followed suit, and Shakespeare stayed where he was, and then Baron took off, you know, chasing the horse down. And I never, ever, ever had another problem with True's mom. I mean, she never chased me again, because Shakespeare and Baron basically told her, look, she's part of this herd, and you need to accept that she's part of this herd. And as soon as the mare understood that, she was fine with it. But I can tell you that Shakespeare was just off picking. I mean, he was off picking grass. He wasn't really paying attention to me. I mean, I guess, actually, I take that back. He was definitely paying attention to me, but he didn't really look like he was, because he had his head down and he was picking grass, and he was probably about 50 feet away from me. Well, the minute he felt my heart rate go up, he came flying toward me to protect me. And another time that happened, I was walking back through the pastures, and my heart rate wasn't even elevated, but Shakespeare came trotting up behind me, and he put himself in front of me, and he kind of like put himself this way, like, you know, horizontally in front of me, and he blocked me, and he wouldn't let me go down the path. And I told him, I said, what are you doing? You know, get out, move, like I'm trying to cross the path. Well, he turned around and he pinned his ears at me, and Shakespeare never pins his ears at me. So I kind of got a little, you know, frustrated with him, and I was like, come on, like, move out of my way. I need to get down here, because I was going out to, you know, another pasture to get something. I don't even know what I was doing. Oh, I think I was looking for a fly mask or something. But anyway, he would not let me cross. It was a little path through the woods, and he blocked me. He physically blocked my path and wouldn't let me go past. And he turned around and he pinned his ears at me, and he kept throwing his head at me and throwing his head and pinning his ears. And I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, stop pinning your ears at me. And then, you know, he approached me, like really pushing me, like he would push another horse. I mean, you know, with his head, he was like directing me. I mean, he wasn't physically touching me with his head, but he was pushing me. And so I kind of just like stopped for a minute, and then I heard something like rustling through the woods, and the next thing I know, about 70 feet ahead of me, this huge black bear crossed the path in front of us. So he knew that that bear was there, and he did not want me walking that path, because if I had kept walking that path, I would have run right into that bear. And you know, it's not to say the bear would have done anything to me, but he knew that he didn't want me near that bear. So, and I mean, that was a tangent that I just went off on, but my point is, if you have a good relationship with your horses, then 9 times out of 10, if you're in trouble, they will come toward you, not away from you. Now, that's not to say that if they were scared to death of something that they wouldn't run, but I've had that happen with these guys, where they've gotten really frightened of something, and they'll trot off a few, you know, 20, 30 feet, but then inevitably they will turn back around and they will come back toward me to like check in and be like, oh, did you hear that? Or did you see that? Or, you know, whatever. So, you know, great question. Thank you for that. I'm sorry I can't give you a definitive answer one way or another, but just know that it depends on your horse, and it depends on your relationship with your horse. So, a great horseman, Buck Brannaman, he says, show me a horse and I will show you their owner. And what that means is your horse is a reflection of you. Your horse is a mirror to you. And, you know, it's really telling that if you go somewhere and you see a crazy horse and they're acting up and they're nuts and they're not behaving and they're biting and kicking and snapping, it's a pretty good indicator that, you know, they have a very unbalanced owner. Now, that's not always the truth, because sometimes, listen, let's face it, some horses are, you know, they've got their own baggage. They've been abused. They've had things going on with them. Like Shakespeare was pretty badly abused, and you know, it took me quite a while to work with him and get his trust up. But boy, I'll tell you, once you get it, it is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's phenomenal. So, all right, I hope that helps answer your question. Keep asking the questions, y'all. I love them. They're great. Thank you.